Welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show. James Kincaid alongside Chris Davis. And we're going to be talking now about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And I think the pronunciation they're trying to give us is Shang-Chi, but he's always been Shang-Chi to me. So I'm not changing.
You saw the movie. What'd they say?
Well, he goes by Sean for a lot of the movie.
Oh.
So there will be some minor spoilers here, by the way, everyone. If you had not time to go see it and you don't want it spoiled, sorry, Davis. I'll try and keep it minimal.
What I do for the fans to be here.
Absolutely.
To help you get through this.
Give Davis his flowers for being willing to do this. But I mean, that being said, you're not missing much with
I'll watch it this week.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. I encourage you to do so. So maybe we can get more in depth with it at a later time. But I did not like Shang-Chi. It was not good. And it was, I mean, decidedly piss poor. Like, it was a really bad.
Can you rank it in the Marvel universe right now? Like, if you were to...
so no, I'm not going to do that.
Oh.
Because part of my issue with the MCU droids that just slurp everything, like, this is the best thing since the last thing, and the next thing will be the best thing since this thing. I mean, it's weird how brainwashed some of those folks are. And I see on my timeline things like this. Instantly top 5 MCU movie. Like, all this, and it's not just with Shang-Chi. You see that almost every time now. We saw Black Widow, top 5 MCU movie. It's, what are they putting in these people's water? That, like, it is a weird sort of talking point. It, like, that everyone does this weird instant top 5 MCU movie and all this stuff. So I am not going to offer the opposite and say instantly bottom 5. After I finish rewatching all the other ones, then I will give a more sort of catered review. It's not looking good. I'll say that.
I was going to say, this sounds like a bottom 5er.
I'll say that because here's your headline for you, is that Shang-Chi doubles down on the worst of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Absolutely. And I guess that's where we'll start, because when we talked about this before, my sort of major red flag was the fact that they were bringing back Sir Ben Kingsley to reprise his role, taking one of the ultimate mistakes and first missteps of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was their bastardization and turning the Mandarin into a comedic character that was played by Ben Kingsley, and bringing him into this Shang-Chi movie. Like, that is one mistake. Like, just don't ever reference it ever again. Just let it die.
It happened, bro. It's part of the universe.
Kylo Ren, let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
So they confirmed that he's the Mandarin.
Let me tell you what let me tell you what they did with Trevor Slattery, or whatever his frickin' name is. Yeah. They bring him back into this movie, and I think you and I, what do you think that they would do with Trevor Slattery here? Because now we're getting the real Mandarin.
We talked about it, and what we said was pretty much guaranteed was that he was in for a cameo to be slaughtered for portraying the Mandarin and, like, doing this whole disservice to, the Mandarin.
Yeah.
So that's what I was expecting, and it's not sounding like that's what happened.
You failed to ask the question, what if Marvel wanted to keep this silly ass character around and give him even more screen time?
No.
Kingsley's Trevor Slattery is one of the sort of Fab Four characters in this movie. He plays a big role in this movie. Yes.
What?
He is not.
Why would they do that?
Not summarily executed for crimes against the real Mandarin, and he is a major character. He leads our heroes to their ultimate destination with the help of this mythological creature. They find him locked up. He's serving as the court jester to the real Mandarin, who is still a fake Mandarin in my opinion, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. And he is even more comedic than ever. In a comedy that is rife with too much comedy and jokes that fall completely flat.
Mm.
Completely flat. Most notably, the character of Katie, played by Awkwafina, and she is the worst MCU character since Ben Kingsley's Trevor Slattery, since Pat Denning's Mew Mew girl from Thor. Like, that I will give you right now, instantly charts among the bottom of Marvel's characters. Marvel's Katie. Oh, look upon my works and despair.
Two in one film. They got Kingsley and this character.
Yes, awful.
2 of the bottom 5 in one. That's impressive.
Yes, tremendously bad. But yeah, what we expected would almost be a given that they would try and make up for the sins of the past by killing Trevor Slattery, fake Mandarin. No, he leads our heroes to their destination, constantly making jokes. The big battle, making jokes. Like, it is Jar Jar Kingsley. Like, he's worse. He's
Sir
worse.
Can they take away his knighthood?
Yeah, exactly. Defrock him or whatever it is. Take it away. Like, the fact that he would do this, like, he must be hard up for money, dude. Because, like, this is so bad. And, without, minor spoiler, Davis, he lives. He's still alive. So he's going to be, my guess is going to continue to pop up in these movies. It's just awful.
Why did they do this?
I don't know.
I can't. It's getting harder to defend some of these choices.
It absolutely is. And, just
to be on the other side of things, for make sure that we're looking at everything from all angles. It's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, well, I look forward to you watching this movie and sort of giving me your reaction to it and everything like that. To, because I know you're much more forgiving than I am of these.
But I mean, even watching the trailer, I mean, it looked like it was going to be a disaster. So I have to ask, so how much do they just completely take away the power of Abomination?
So Abomination is very much so a cameo, like very, very much so, which I think we expected. He is, spoiler, he's fighting not Shang-Chi. See, I'm trying.
So not even the hero. Okay.
He's not. No, he's fighting Wong from Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Who Wong makes a few appearances in this movie, and Wong does like a kind of a cool Doctor Strange thing, which Abomination throws a punch at him, and Wong essentially portals his punch into Abomination's face. But then you find out afterward that they were sort of scamming the system anyway. That it was like they're, sort of take a dive kind of deal.
Okay.
Which threw me off because that makes Abomination seem like he's got everything under control and is now like quasi, like could be a good guy.
So he's like Intelligent Hulk now, or
ish. Yeah. So it was
just reading books with glasses.
Not great, Bob. Did not like that whatsoever. That fighting ring, though, we got to see again. I'm sorry, Davis, but it just has to be. It's what it is. Shang-Chi fights his sister, who I believe, I'm not the most expert on Shang-Chi, but I don't think there. His sister, I believe, is just a made-up character for this Marvel movie. She does not have any sort of source material basis to exist on, and that makes a lot of sense to me because one of my takeaways from this movie was, I could have done without that character altogether, and it wouldn't have made really much of a difference to me in the movie. Like, it was sort of it was sort of like splitting the heart of the film in two, as opposed to telling one good heart-filled story with Shang-Chi. That I would actually be maybe gripped to that character and buy into him, but then you split it in two by adding this sister, and none of it worked. And so I would have deleted her character immediately from it because it was just sort of it was like a hat on a hat, as my friend Mark Abrigo would say. And so, she was completely unnecessary. And they
needed more comedy.
She was not a comedic character. I will give her that. 100% a straight-laced character, and better than all the other characters. Take for that what you will. kicks Shang-Chi in the balls in their fight too, because we love that. We didn't get enough of that with Lady Sif and Loki in the series, so we needed more of that here. But so I talked about that splitting the heart into with this movie, and it goes right along that I don't think Shang-Chi was well cast. Whoever is playing, I've not really seen him in anything. Simu Liu, and I don't think he really looks like the comic book character. And again, not that I am a super expert on Shang-Chi, but he didn't really pull it off to me. It wasn't believable, and it didn't really work.
Like him. Is it more like him representing his power base, his character base?
All
or
of
like
it.
What? Yeah.
He didn't seem believable. It didn't seem believable fighting. He didn't seem his performance was not very good, and it was
questionable.
He just
it sounds like it.
He felt like a passenger in his own movie. Is the main thing that I would say. Is he, like, the performance was bad, but more importantly than that, it felt like he wasn't really taking the focus of it. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it's a Shang-Chi movie and stuff, but it never felt like he really seized the spotlight. He was just along for the ride, quite literally. At one point in the movie, when Trevor Slattery asked him to sit in the back seat. He was just along for the ride. Was not gripping emotionally whatsoever. With his backstory, some of the flashbacks, I thought I get what they were trying to do, but the first, like, major flashback that they give, outside of the opening of the movie, they punctuate it, they cut it off because Shang-Chi is telling the story on a flight, and they're interrupted by a very ignorant stewardess, flight attendant. And, like, so it kills all the momentum of this, like, serious backstory that he's giving.
I was gonna say the one thing that we thought going into it on the story was that the heart and soul of this movie could be related to his storyline with the Mandarin, his probable father that we assumed. So did it deliver on that?
So the Mandarin is his father. Okay. And I think the father's performance was fine-ish, not nearly villainous enough.
Not Mandarin enough.
Totally. Like, I still don't think that we've gotten the Mandarin in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, there's a redemption arc in there for him. There's all these different things
for the Mandarin.
Yes. And especially weird. It's all weird considering how they set him up in the opening of the movie too, because they do this kind of, it's almost like out of the shadow, how they set up the Mandarin. This, like, sort of warlord. He found the 10 rings, which I'll go back to that in a second. So he finds 10 rings. He makes him immortal. He's accumulating power. Like, and that's all he wants. Like, they hammer home that he is this warmonger that wants to acquire more and more power and does all these nefarious things throughout the years and stuff like that. And then we're just supposed to forget that when he falls in love with Shang-Chi's mom, and, like, he puts the rings away and everything's, like, all hunky-dory. Like, the now becoming more and more trademark Marvel morality complex that they have, like, with Rachel Weisz in Black Widow and Wanda and WandaVision and things of that nature. But so we're just supposed to forget that, he was this bad guy because he fell in love with Shang-Chi's mom. And how did she fall in love with that ass? I don't know. But it was questionable. It was highly questionable. And it goes from there. And we never really, we see him, like, training. We never really see him do all of these. We never really get to see him be a full villain, I should say. We never really do get that. And so that was disappointing, even as opposed as I was to him being in this movie, because the Mandarin should not be taken from Iron Man and given to Shang-Chi. They did that, and they didn't even really do the Mandarin. So that was bad. And again, his performance was fine. It is what it is. I don't.
Will you remember his performance? Is it like anything memorable?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not very much of this movie is very memorable. A lot of it is very forgettable. They had some cool visuals. I will say.
You'll remember that one.
they did have some cool visuals, particularly in the latter part of the film. And one really cool one in the early going when he first meets Shang-Chi's mom and they have their fight. There's some cool sort of stuff they do with the forest there and like the leaves and everything that, I really liked. The fighting in this movie was incredibly underwhelming. You'd expect like a movie like this that the choreography would be tremendous, and there were moments that it was okay, but it was nothing. It was nothing so unique or so impressive that stood out. In fact, a lot of the fighting made people laugh in the theater because, in particular, a couple of the most serious fights they make look like a dance. They absolutely make it look like a dance routine. And I love a good cinematic dance routine. Look no further than Mask of Zorro with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Antonio Banderas. Sexiest scene in movie history. But literally, they do these like weird slow-mo close-ups on faces as like fists go by them, and they're like looking directly at you into the camera, and people just start laughing because it's so absurd. It's so poorly done. And so the first fight, they do that sort of dance with him and his mom, and I get that they're trying to make that a romantic moment and stuff like that. But okay, so that's them falling in love via this fight. Then you do the exact same dance when he's fighting with Shang-Chi towards the end of the movie. It's like, dude, you got the dad and the son dance. Now we're getting broad-minded, Marvel. So, yeah, my goodness. It was, the fighting left me underwhelmed in a lot of aspects, other than the sort of visual aesthetic, and particularly the first fight, like using the forest and the use of light and stuff like that was very cool looking, and invoked sort of just memories of other similar settings and stuff like that, which was cool. There were some definite Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon vibes, which I liked. What
I felt like when you were describing that, was like Bushido Blade, Crouching Tiger. That's
and I think that without wanting to just rip off Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I think like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon has memorable, unique fights. Like there's a reason why that movie to the Western audience was like, oh my God, it was because it was a lot of our first sort of experience, like looking at that style fight choreography and things like that. This was not that. It was definitely not that. It will not stand the test of time, like I believe Crouching Tiger has and will continue to do so. So the 10 rings, Davis, the 10 rings. Let me be clear to everyone out there. Those are bracelets. Those are not rings. So
it's a 10 bracelet clan.
Is the 10 bracelets. Yes.
Are they shiny and they make noises?
Like, why can't you just give me, I understand that technically by shape, yes, they are ring shaped, but those are not the 10 rings of the Mandarin by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think they look cool with how the fake Mandarin uses them. I guess fake Mandarin number 2 at this point, but they like how he like shoots the blast and stuff. None of it looks good. The only time it ever looks good, sorry, Davis, is when at a undisclosed time in the movie when Shang-Chi sort of takes control of them in a fight and has them sort of encircling him like protection. Like that's the only time they ever look sort of cool. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting kind of deal. But how fake Mandarin 2 uses them throughout leaves me flat. And how they are utilized in the climax of the film as well. So it just was poor delivery. And it does, I mean, MCU trying to have their cake and eat it too, and utilizing the same iconography from Iron Man 1 with the 10 rings and stuff like that. And remember, the 10 rings were the group that kidnapped Tony Stark in Iron Man 1. Right. So, and we give that guy a little bit of a redemption arc here in this movie. That's cool. And I do believe that no one's beyond redemption, but it's just like we get the montage that he's an evil guy, and then he sacrifices some people to try and get into this hidden village, and then he magically falls in love with this woman that makes him a good guy. I don't know. I mean, take it up with
Is there still a chance that we get the Mandarin going forward? Or
I
is he
don't
done?
believe.
Or is he gone now?
I do not believe that we will ever in the MCU get a good Mandarin adaptation. I don't, and I think, look, it's already, the writing's already on the wall because Tony Stark's dead. And I know we're doing the multiverse stuff. And while I think that they might get Tony Stark or Robert Downey Jr. to cameo or do some appearances in future movies, I think that's definitely possible. I think that for us to really get Robert Downey Jr. back in the fold fully, this is going to have to flop. Eternals is going to have to flop. Like, Marvel is going to have to suffer a string of humbling defeats for them to be like, okay, we need to go back to formula here. We need to go back to what was really working. So there will be no reason for we're not getting the Mandarin. All right, this is what we got. That's all we're gonna get.
That's sad.
But as I say that, now I think about a post-credit scene, and it still won't be the Mandarin, but I wouldn't be surprised if that character uses the name. So no. I'll just say that.
No. No.
I will just say that the post-credit scenes definitely point to where I think the next, God forbid that he gets another solo movie where Shang-Chi 2 could be headed, which, you know, it was a shot.
I want to start my Saturday, James.
It was a spoiler. Pulling back the curtain of what we're recording. It was akin to how the post-credit scene of Mandalorian season 2 played out. Let me just say that. It's like, clearly they saw that, or like, oh, we'll just do this. And then the panned out preaching commenced after that. The other post-credit scene was very much so a changing of the guard sort of endorsement moment where Wong grabs Shang-Chi and Marvel's Katie, Awkwafina, terrible character, awful character, who, even though being just a complete comedic sideshow, Davis, she literally, like, this is where Marvel fell in love with their own legend. It was worse than when Chris Pratt started dance off or whatever. She starts singing Hotel California in the middle of a fight with like one of the sub bosses in this movie. It was horrendous. So this character this character that's been a complete joke the entire movie. Also, she all of a sudden at the end finds herself and is able to do stuff. So that was great. So Wong takes them back to, you know, the Avengers, whatever locale, and Carol Danvers and Bruce Banner Skype in to sort of welcome them. They don't say welcome to the Avengers. They say welcome to the circus, but that's essentially what it is. And in this post-credit scene too, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, does the same damn thing, which is, oh, I got the situation. I gotta go. And it's like, oh, she does that a lot. Oh,
she'll come back when we need her.
God, well, we don't. All I need you, Carol Danvers, is to give Rogue flight and super strength. And you just stay in your old bed.
We're like 5 years away from that, probably. When the X-Men get entranced in the MCU here, I think
they would never let it happen. They would never do it that way. Rogue's just going to have those powers. You know, maybe she'll like take them from Jude Law's character or something like that. They'll never let that happen. Guaranteed. So, let's see. I'm glad I remembered to bring up the singing in the middle of a fight. Yeah, that was really bad.
This sounds like a hard watch. I'm not gonna.
Look, I am going hard on it though, and you know, I am by default a harsher critic of these more recent movies than you are, because you liked Loki, so your credibility is already out the window. So
I'm mostly disappointed to hear about the fighting, because it's a kung fu movie, a kung fu character that I think they haven't got to do yet. They could do a lot of fun stuff with it. They could do a lot of very visually stunning options with it, and it doesn't sound like it delivered on that.
It definitely, in my opinion, the fighting was, other than the times where it led to literal laughing, in the theater, and everything like that was inoffensive. It just didn't stand out.
Yeah, that's
so. You know, I think they did what they could. It was Shang-Chi, you know, and
it's like, well, we're doing this guy, so
I mean, I guess that's the funny thing to me, I guess, about that scene where they're sort of welcome to the Avengers. I was like, really? Like, okay. I mean, that guy couldn't get people to read a comic, you know. I don't think he's going to put butts in the seats as part of this new Avengers team.
That's why you put them in a group, so you still have them around, but you don't necessarily have to make his movies because he's in that one, and you can show him there.
I just it's but he honestly, it's really one of the first times that I felt they've missed so badly with the casting of the lead character. I guess you could look at Danny Rand from Iron Fist as well. You know, that just he just didn't sort of really bring any sort of heart and soul to the role whatsoever. But he did not do it for me. He was a passenger in his own movie. His performance went right part and parcel along with that too. He did nothing to sort of seize any of the moments that he was given. And, you know, I think in an ultimately forgettable movie, I think most people, unfortunately, will remember the other characters more. They will remember more of the former Sir Ben Kingsley. They will remember Awkwafina's terrible Katie. They will remember his sister, probably. I think a lot of people would find more of a memorable character. His dad. He was just such a zilch in this movie, I felt, unfortunately. Cool visuals with the, you know, Tai Lao and stuff like that. There was some cool magical stuff in this. Hated 90% of how the 10 Rings look. So I guess I hated 9 out of the 10 Rings.
Is there any good characters? Like if there's one standout? No. Getting nothing, folks. He's really thinking hard. This is brutal to watch. It's perplexing him. Yeah, that's a no. If you can't think of one off the top of your head,
I liked the Protector.
No. Sure.
There's a Protector character that I thought was cool. So I'll give you that. I thought you know, all these Marvel movies, you have to sort of have like putty type bad guys to go against, you know. Yeah. Those were cool. The good choice on how literally though, like the sort of concept behind the like sort of, there's some Lovecraftian stuff in it that I like that. I dug that. But it felt so rushed that, you know, we could have done with more of that. And yeah, so, you know, Michelle Yeoh's in it. So, you know, she's good.
I was gonna say, was she actually good?
Yeah,
because she's in it.
Yeah, I mean, her role was pretty small, but you know, she was. It was good to see her. I almost feel like it was almost like pandering though, to bring her and be like, see, like, this is good.
We got her.
This is good, right? But yeah, I mean, this movie could not overcome a bad cast of its lead. Could not overcome two of the worst characters in Marvel Cinematic history.
I can't believe they left him alive.
Yeah,
that is so unfortunate.
It's and not only left him alive, Davis, but he plays a big role in this movie.
So sad.
And it's so bad. And you couple that with the fact that we already have an annoying, stupid comedic character in this movie, and it's just, and we're also like the teased romance at one point. I'm not going to say with whom, but the teased or implied romance. Not buying it for a second. Not for one friggin' second. Yeah, this movie was a fail. And it was fun going to the movies. I've loved going back to the movies, you know, and shout out final boss Chris Seglia and, you know, Tenno folks that were there that set up this private screening for us to go to. That was cool. I didn't even realize you could do that. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
yeah, had a good time doing that. I love going to the movies. This is what I want people to understand. You know, when you invite me out to things, even if I don't like it, I'll wear it in silence and just. I love the fellowship and the camaraderie with everybody. So, you know, and I did. I think I just let out one audible buh when Carol Danvers did her thing, but
at least that was at the end.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it was whatever. Yeah, but imagine me. I was able to stay silent for Sir Ben Kingsley's role in this. So,
that's impressive. That is impressive.
Yeah. And it was tough, but
well, I can't say I intend on giving Marvel my money with this movie. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, pirate it, torrent it, don't support it. Do not
let
support
them know
this
is a failure.
This is the whole thing, and like I'm dead serious. Like, do not like spend money on this. Marvel needs to learn. They need to take some major L's. You know.
Oh,
so
well, don't worry, Eternals is coming up.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this movie needs to do the drizzling S at the box office. Eternals needs to. You just have to stop supporting bad content. And
what is the next
that goes across
movie?
Like you have control over so little, and it is getting to the point where it's like I don't want to support this with my wallet anymore. I don't support Disney Plus with my wallet. I'm getting close to not supporting Netflix with my wallet, although I am just so tempted to see the train wreck. And that's almost what it feels like a lot of these things are leaning into for certain parts of the fan base. Like, you want to see how bad it is. I know you do. Yeah, find a way to pirate this, everyone out there. Do not go see another movie and then sneak in to see Shang-Chi. Support another movie that maybe needs it more, and then just dip into Shang-Chi.
So we got this one, Eternals, and then the one that might save them this year,
No Way Home.
Yeah,
No Way Home's gonna do big numbers. It's freaking Spider-Man. Spider-Man's been the name on the marquee. He's he's Marvel.
That's unfortunate, because if they got it 3 in a row, you might start to see some changes. But
Black Widow. Shang-Chi, the Eternals. But you're right, though, but No Way Home, I think, is going to be so successful, even if not monetarily because of COVID and stuff, but it's going to be so that there are people that already have their reviews positively written about No Way Home just because that's what Marvel people do. Yeah. And that's just what they do. I have my own misgivings about where that's going to go. Yeah, we're going to. Yeah.
Remember these characters?
Yeah, well, no, and what it will serve to do is to probably prop up all of the lesser, newer characters that they've done. Like, I'm sure Tom Holland's Spider-Man will probably reign ultimately supreme over any of the other ones that they bring in. I'm sure Fat Ned Leeds will probably have a lot of hero shine moments and crappy MJ. Sure. They bank on your nostalgia, and then they will deconstruct it in front of you and expect it to be like, you like that, right? Like, no, we don't like that. And hopefully they start learning some tough lessons. So yeah, find ways to consume this without paying for it. It would be my ultimate recommendation.
You got one here.
Yeah, good. See, I appreciate you're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
That is going to do it for this edition of the Best Damn Nerd Show. Have a great week, everyone. And remember, if you're a nerd, always say it loud and say it proud.